wonderful people joining us also. Yeah, we'll be treating something very important today. And if there's anyone in your cycle, anyone in your network who you would love to benefit from these events, what we are sharing in these events, just kindly share the link to them. Share the link to them, tell them to join, get your friends, get your coworkers, get your colleagues, get them on this call because we are about to dish out something interesting, something wonderful, and you will not want to miss it. Once again, I would like to welcome you to this call. This is the Abuja Power BI user group. And what we do here is basically we talk about Power BI. We help ourselves when it comes to Power BI. We network with industry professionals. We it's basically a community of like-minded individuals who use Power BI. It could be at work, it could be for school purposes, it could be for research purposes, as long as you use Power BI and you would love to learn more about Power BI and also connect with like-minded networks of people who also use Power BI. This is the community for you, right? So it's the Abuja Power BI user group, and this is our monthly meetup for the month of May. And I'd like to welcome you once again. And the topic we'll be looking at today is designing with purpose. Designing with purpose, balancing aesthetics and usability in Power BI, right? That's the topic, designing with purpose. And the focus is how to balance aesthetics and usability in Power BI. So recently we had a couple of discussions on, let me say, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and a lot of other social media platforms. Which should you prioritize when it comes to designing dashboards? Which should you prioritize when it comes to like creating solutions in Power BI? Is it your design first or insights first, right? And a couple of people, a couple of industry thought leaders, they shared some insights how that both are important, right? You should learn to balance both. And yeah, this is what we want to discuss today. And for our speakers, we have the person of wonderful speakers, experienced people in the industry. And yeah, permit me to introduce them first of all. And the first person is Tenny Lolua Shugbeson. Tenny Lolua, welcome to this call. We are glad to have you. So, a little bit about Tenny Lolua. She is a visualization developer and a creative problem solver with 3 years of experience. Outside of work, she enjoys building dashboards that find a sweet spot between design, functionality, and performance. I hope you are giving a round of applause for Tenny already. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Tenny, nice to have you on this call. And we are looking forward to the insights you're going to share and also learn from you, right? And yeah, we also have Stella Inoka. Stella is also on the call. So Stella is a data analyst with expertise in Power BI, data storytelling, and business intelligence reporting. She focuses on transforming complex data and empowering stakeholders to make confident, data driven decisions. She is passionate about sharing best practices in reports design and data visualization. Stella enjoys collaborating with others in the data community and helping professionals design reports that are both functional and visually engaging. Thank you very much, Stella. That's just a little bit of introduction about Stella, right? And when the time comes, we'll be hearing more from them. All right, and yeah, before we dive straight into what we have today, I like just have a little chat with Tenny Lulua, right? Because she'll be speaking first. All right, Tenny Lulua, this is the Abuja Power BI user group, and we want to talk about balancing aesthetics, designing with purpose, balancing aesthetics and usability when it comes to building dashboards and reports, right? And yeah, Tenny, I would just like to ask a question that may spark some reactions. Which is much important? Which is much more important? Is it insights or design when it comes to when it comes to building dashboard? Which is much important, and which do you prioritize the most?
Yeah, hi everyone. How are we doing today? Hi Gabriel. So for your question, I would say there is no hierarchy between the two. I think we should prioritize both of them. I don't think anyone should take more precedence over the other. And I think over the course of this conversation, we'll see why both of them needs to be prioritized. I hope
Yeah,
that
thank
answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much. So I'm looking forward to the insights you're gonna share with us, and I'm looking forward to have a lot of takeaways from this session. All right, and I would also love to ask Stella the same question, and then we'll go back to Tenny Lulua while she prepares to walk us through what she has for us. All right, Stella, same question. I want to direct it to you now. Which do you prioritize when it comes to designing dashboards, right? And also, how do you just in one sentence, right? How do you let me say, how do you make sure you are not overshooting in what you should not prioritize? Let's say you are giving too much insights and less design, your dashboard is looking ugly, or you are giving too much designs and less insights. So just in one sentence, can you answer that, Stella? Hi, Stella, your mic is muted.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, good evening everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you all this evening. To answer your question, I think I'll go with exactly what Kenny said. I mean, both of them are supposed to be given equal attention and consideration, you understand? So I don't think like what is part of my presentation today, I think I'll be talking about the usability part of this topic. And I think what I was going to say was that if you are giving 100% attention to design, you should also give 100% attention to usability, because both of them are supposed to go hand in hand, right? So yeah, I don't think any either one of them should supersede the other. So yeah, that's my answer to your question.
All right, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much, Stella. I'm also sad. I'm looking forward to what you are going to be sharing with us today. Thank you very much once again. All right, so over to you, Tenny Lolua, and you have the floor now. You can walk us through what you have for us today.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen now. Just let me know when you can see it. So can we see my screen?
Yes, we can see a screen.
Okay. So just let me know if I'm audible enough or if you want me to be louder. And so I'm going to start. Like you said, so for everyone, my name is Tenny Lolua, but you can call me Tenny for short. And today we're going to be looking at designing with purpose, and that's basically balancing aesthetic with usability. And in this session, we're going to walk through how to take dashboard A to dashboard B using 5 simple rules that improves overall effectiveness, visual design, and readability. Now, first thing is before even building any dashboard or before working on any project, it's very important to understand your audience. So it's important to understand the people you're going to be building the dashboard for, who your end users are, their level of technicality with the tool. That's going to influence how deep your analysis is going to go, how technical your report is going to be. Also, understand if you're going to be showing it to high level executive, low level executive, you're going to be showing it to an analyst. So, understanding your audience is going to help you understand how to build your report. And over the course of this session, we're going to see how that plays like an important role. And like I said earlier, it's important not to just throw away design, but also there's a lot of design. Sorry, I think it has become like such a big buzzword now that everybody's always like, oh, one has to take precedent. I'm going to show you how you can balance both of them in order to improve the experience of your user. At the end of the day, you want your user to be able to understand your report. That's the end goal. You're not building it for yourself, you're building it for someone. So we're going to start. So firstly, we're going to be looking at dashboard A. So this is dashboard A, and this dashboard is it's quite difficult to understand what is going on in this dashboard. As an end user, there's just so much happening, there's so much distraction, there's so much noise, there's no clear hierarchy of what I'm supposed to be looking at first. Now, when I started learning back then, if I had built something like this as a beginner, I'd have been so proud of myself that, I've arrived, I've built a dashboard, I've added numbers, and it's showing numbers. I would think sharing insights, right? But at the end of the day, this dashboard is not. First of all, it's an ugly dashboard. Second, it's not sharing the correct information. I don't know where to focus on. As an end user, it's just very confusing. So it's important to know that it's not just showing insight, you have to also enable like readability. And to be able to do that, you have to introduce design to your dashboard. So we're going to be looking at 5 steps on how to transform this dashboard. The very first is white space. So please, I want this session to be as interactive as possible. So if you have a question for me or you want me to stop at any point, please let me know. Okay, so the first step is white space. Now, what is white space? White space refers to the amount of space around and between objects. Now, why is this beneficial? White space introduces harmony and balance into a design. It makes it easy for the eyes to see what is in front of it. It improves the processing of visual information, and it also helps guide your user to the next item of importance. So it creates a visual hierarchy. Now, plenty of white space around our chart helps our audience focus, thus improving the readability. Now, how do we execute this? Firstly, by introducing inner and outer padding. So let's go back to our first dashboard. Introducing inner and outer padding. So it means we're going to introduce padding to our charts. We're going to add inner padding to this chart, also to our table. So one thing I see a lot of people do when they build table in Power BI is they don't introduce row padding. And we're going to see how it's going to transform our table, just that little thing as introducing a row padding to our table. Next is align your charts vertically and horizontally so the visuals are on the same line and easy to scan. And lastly is maintain consistent spacing between your chart, text, and filter for a clean and balanced layout. So in this visual, we can see like there is no, the spacings are not aligned. This is bigger than this, and just basically very distracting. Also, the same thing applies to here. So we're going to transform this data using those few steps. So transform this dashboard using those few steps, right? And then let's see how our dashboard looks like after we've introduced white space. Now, can we see that there's a huge difference? And the only thing we did is introducing white space to our KPI cards and also our table. Now, if you look at this table and look at where the table was before, see where the table was before. Now, at this point, it's very difficult to actually see the different categories clearly. It's so cluttered together that, from just looking at it from a first glance, it's quite difficult to tell what I am looking at. Now, when you introduce row padding into your table, it creates white space inside of your table, and it helps the user to be able to see each category individually without having to stress too much to look at it. And then next is we introduce padding in our charts, right? So this is quite easy to do in Power BI. So that's the very first step, and we can see the dashboard is starting to look a little bit better. Then the next step is to ensure proper text use. This is where typography comes into play. Now, this covers the proper use of titles, subtitles, label, and the appropriate application of text hierarchy. Now, why is this beneficial? Descriptive title and subtitles give user a better understanding of what is shown. Also, applying proper text hierarchy helps the user to focus on what is essential. Now, how do we execute this? By avoiding generic dashboard titles like sales dashboard. So, for example, in a current dashboard, it just says sales dashboard. It's not really passing any kind of information as to what we are actually looking at. Sales dashboard is such a generic word. So it's important to allow your title pass some kind of like information to your user. Then also use hierarchy below. That's this hierarchy as a guide for how to emphasize text in a way that creates desired effect. So I'm sure you've heard of text hierarchy where your dashboard title should be bigger, your KPI number should be big and bold because that's what draws the attention of the user first, right? So keep title and subtitle case structure consistent. Another mistake that we have in this old dashboard is this is starting with small letter, this is starting with capital letter, so there's inconsistency in typography, which is something that some people don't pay attention to. These little things are things that you should actually pay attention to when it comes to design, right? So keep your capitalized. If you're capitalizing the first word for each, keep that same format everywhere. Next thing is to use the same font type across your dashboard, preferably Arial or any other one. So I'm going to show us how to do this in like a very simple way. So this is the current dashboard in Power BI. So all you have to do is just go to your current team. I don't know if we're aware of this, but in your team, you can literally set your font for your title, you can set your font for your KPI card, and also set your font for your header. So this way you don't have to be changing it individually once you plot it chart. And you can also set your font size. So remember we're talking about hierarchy, right? So in Power BI, you can also set your hierarchy here. You can say your general, all the numbers inside, so all the values you have dashboard itself, you want to be either 10 or 12. That's depending on your canvas size, right? So this is where I say knowing your audience comes into play. If you know the kind of device your audience is going to be viewing your dashboard on, it's going to help you set your canvas size. So there are different generic canvas size for systems, for a wider monitor, for laptops, and all of that. I think I remember I saw a dashboard that somebody used 9,000 to 8,000 pixels, and I was quite confused. Like, why would you build such? That dashboard was very hard for me to look at. So always prioritize canvas size, and the way you do that is knowing where and how your user is going to look at the dashboard. So if you have like a bigger canvas size, you can set your font size to 12 to 14 depending on your canvas size. Also, this helps set your title font size, helps set your card. So Power BI defaults to 45, but I've never used 45 before. I typically use 18, 20, 24, depending on my canvas size. So you can set that here. So once you just plot your card, automatically defaults to that size. Set your font family. Like I said, you can use Arial or this other fonts. Not sure I know how to pronounce it very well, but triple shirt. This and Arial, once you publish your dashboard on the web, it looks good because it's a web font. So it looks good on the web. And that way, you can help like improve your typography and your text. So let's look at the dashboard now with our text hierarchy applied. Now we can see there's a little bit of like a difference in this dashboard now. From looking at it, I know my eyes go straight to the KPI numbers. I see, okay, this is big and bold. You're trying to show me something. The title is not distracting me from the numbers itself. Also, my dashboard title is showing me that, okay, I'm trying to optimize costs. It's also giving me a little bit of insight into what the dashboard itself is showing. Now I have my table. I can see like there's a little bit of space between my title and table itself. This you can do by setting. I think there's a setting in Power BI where in your chart title, if you go under, you see layout and space between title and visual itself. It defaults to 5, but it's always great to increase it if you have a table. So there's a little bit of space between the table itself and the title. So I usually set mine to 10. And so we can see there's a little bit of difference. Now, we've not really done so much. We've just introduced white space and changed the typography. And I'm going to show you what the initial dashboard looks like, what we started with, and see the clear difference between where we are now. So this is what it's initially, no, not this. Okay, let's go here. This is what it initially looked like. Now we've gotten to the point where we introduced white space and typography. This is it with white space, and then this is it with typography. So this answers your question that you're not supposed to neglect one for the other. Basically, they go hand in hand. But aesthetic is not just introducing crazy charts or doing technical things to your dashboard itself. It's knowing the little things that would help enhance usability. Oh, sorry, please give me a minute. Okay, can we still hear me?
Yes, we can
Does
hear you,
anybody can
Temi.
hear me? Sorry, sometimes I forget I'm in Nigeria and don't plug my device. Okay, we can continue. So as I was saying, like, it's just the little things that we did to this dashboard, and now it has improved readability so much more than what we originally started with. But that's why design, it's not just using SVG or using crazy charts or doing the most technical stuff. It's just little tips and tricks like this that help improve readability. Now we have 3 more tips, right? Now we're going to be looking at how to evaluate your chart choices and the use of color purposefully. Now, in this session, this covers the proper chart evaluation and the strategic use of color to guide the audience attention and improve how we communicate our insights. Why is this beneficial? By choosing the right chart for the right context and applying color purposefully, we can better communicate our story in a way that is both clear and engaging. Now, human beings are perspective to color, so we can use it to guide focus and highlight what matters. So, for example, we see people highlight, the maximum value a certain color and use gray for the lower values, right? That's basically trying to focus your audience attention onto what you think is important. Now, how to execute this? We have to use the charts that use charts that best represent the message. For example, use line charts to show trends and bar charts for category, and avoid using tables when you're trying to show patterns. So basically, tables just show values and numbers, the exact values and numbers. So if you're trying to tell a story or show a pattern to your audience, then avoid using tables. But generally, tables are not bad. It just depends on the kind of insight you're trying to give your audience. Now, use charts. You use chart guides and references if you are unsure which chart to apply. So chart guide is basically this below: line charts for trend, bar charts for category comparison, pie chart for showing part of it all. So for pie chart, I typically usually say once your category is more than 4, don't use a pie chart, especially if the categories are similar in sizes. It's kind of difficult to tell what we're looking at using a pie chart. If you have 2, 3 categories, then use a pie or donut chart. They're very much acceptable then. Then heat map for intensity and pattern, and scatter plot for correlation. Next is color non-highlighted data points with neutral tones like gray. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want to highlight a maximum value, you color it with a brighter color and then a gray or neutral tone for the other values. Then be consistent with color use throughout the dashboard to reduce confusion. So if you are using green for positive and red for negative, keep that format throughout the entire of the dashboard so that there is no confusion. Also, if you're using blue to highlight highest value, make sure that's what you use blue to do constantly in the dashboard. Then we have types of color palettes. We have categorical color palettes, sequential color palettes, and diverging color palettes. For diverging, it's just two contrasting colors for positive and negative. People typically use green and red, and blue and orange. So blue to denote positive, orange to denote negative, green to denote positive, and red to denote negative. A sequential color palette, one color showing intensity or range, and categorical color palette used to show different unrelated data. So we're going to go back to our dashboard and see how we can apply some of these changes to this dashboard. Now here, we want to tell a story. Now this dashboard is not typically telling a story, it's just showing numbers. For example, this table is just showing numbers to the user, and we want this dashboard to be a KPI overview page that's basically talking about how to identify opportunities for cost optimization. So we want to be able to see the different segments and products and all of these metrics by those segments. This is basically showing what we are saying, but this is only showing it by total sales. And also this chart is just the wrong chart type because we have 5 categories in products and they are almost all similar in size. So it's quite difficult to tell what exactly we're looking at and which product is even doing well from this pie chart. So we have to change this chart type, right? And from what we said in our notes, the best way to show categorical data is bar charts. So we have to change this to bar charts. But then if we change it, it's basically just almost showing the same information as what this is showing. Because we can also still see the products by total profit, sales, units sold, and profit margin. But this is just not showing it the way we want to see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to transform this entire chart underneath into one chart that's going to show off this information in a clear and more readable format. Next, we have our KPI cards. Now, the purpose of the KPI card is to show the audience total sales in a year across the months in a year. So we can see total sales from January to December, and we can see the months that is low and the months that is high. But we also want to introduce something to them. We want them to be able to see, like I said, it's important to understand the audience. And this audience, we want them to be able to see comparison. We want them to be able to compare the previous month to the current month. You see how we're starting to tell a story? We're starting to share insights without actually forgetting design. The two of them are going hand in hand. So I want to tell a story where there is a month-over-month comparison. And if I introduce a month filter to this dashboard, now let me do that in Power BI itself. Let's see what's going to happen. So if I introduce a month filter here and I say, okay, I want the audience to be able to filter the month, because to be able to show the month-over-month comparison, you have to have filters so that a particular month is selected and then it compares that month to the other month. Now, if I select a particular month in my dashboard, Power BI would, if you are looking at a line chart or a bar chart, whatever chart you are looking at, Power BI is only going to select that particular value that is selected in your slicer. So this makes it kind of difficult to include the month-over-month comparison while also keeping these line charts the same way and just highlighting the selected month. So this is something I currently wrote an article about, and I'm going to be publishing the article sometime next week. So if you would like to know how to do this, if I start talking about it now, we're not going to leave here today. But if you really love to know how to do this, it's not just only monthly category. It can be used for any kind of categorical data. If you'd like to know how to do this, you can just follow me on LinkedIn or follow me on Medium to see when I release the article on how to do that. But what is it going to look like is going to look something like this. So let's go to our final dashboard page. It's going to look something like this, where if I select a month, we can see the value for that month. You can also see the comparison for that month, and then it highlights the month that was selected, highlights the month February. So this is basically helping our audience understand that we want you to see the trend for 2014. Look at the comparison from February to the previous month, and also it allows them to still see the graphical representation of all the other months while only highlighting that selected month. So we can see all the little changes we've done to this dashboard. So we started introducing showing insights, but also we still kept our design the same way. We kept our white spaces. We changed the chart structure to better give our audience the story we wanted to tell. Lastly is this section. So we converted the table to these different bar charts. Now I want the audience to be able to see the total sales and all of these metrics for the different categories. So we have two categories in this dashboard. We have segment and product. Now you can do this in two ways. You can use a parameter or do it the way I did it. But either ways, we still want them to be able to switch between product and segments. So we want them to see these different metrics by product, also see these different metrics by segment, which is what, like I said, the pie chart was trying to show here, total sales by product and total sales by segment. So if you want to change this, you can do it two ways. Like I said, use a parameter to switch between sales, profits margin, and units sold if you don't have that much space. But because we have a lot of space underneath, that's why I broke it into 4 bars. But if you don't have that much space, you can introduce a parameter here and then change this from a pie chart to a bar chart or a column chart. Now we're also highlighting the category with the highest value. It also comes into play when we spoke about color, right? So basically we're trying to allow the user's eyes go straight to brighter color, and then we use the neutral undertone gray for like other values. So this is basically telling us that small business had the most sales by segments, government had the most profits by segments, and so on. So this is basically trying to tell the user a story, is sharing insight while also maintaining design. So let's go back to our home page. Now you can see how we turned this dashboard to this dashboard from A to B, while also sharing our insights in a clearer manner and also prioritizing design. So yeah, that's the end of this session. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. But I hope you enjoyed the session altogether.
Thank you very much, Tenny, for this wonderful session. I must say it was really awesome. It was really awesome, actually. And I hope, yeah, so this is what we are going to do. If you have any question for Tenny, kindly you can put them in the chat box or you can write them down. And once Stella is done speaking, we are going to take all the questions at once. So thank you very much, Tenny, for that. All right, so moving on, we are going
Thank
to
you
be
so much.
inviting, yeah, we're going to be inviting Stella to walk us through what she has for us now. Yeah, Stella, you have the floor now.
Thank you very much. Once again, hello. For those of you that are just joining us, my name is Stella, and I will be speaking on the usability part of this topic for today. But first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Tenny for that fantastic presentation on aesthetics. I mean, I especially appreciate the part where you talked about the importance of, understanding the audience before building any reports. I mean, never ever fail to consider your users in the building stage. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, Jenny. I'm going to be sharing my screen right now. Yes. Okay. So let's talk usability. Let me take this. a little bit. Please, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Oh, okay. So usability. What exactly is usability in dashboard design? For me, I'd like to think that usability is how our users can interact with any product to achieve their goals. Yeah, and that's why whenever I think about usability in design or in report building, I always consider these three keywords: effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction. When I say effectiveness, I mean how well can users achieve their objectives, while using your reports? I mean, can they actually achieve their objectives completely? Then efficiency, like how much effort and resources would be required for them to achieve those objectives? And finally, satisfaction, like how comfortable and acceptable would the experience be for them? So considering what Penny shared on aesthetics, this goes to say that design and usability are both important in report building. So I'll say to balance aesthetics with usability, like you asked the question previously, right? You should give 100% attention and consideration to the user interface, right? And also give 100% attention and consideration to usability, so that at the end of it all, your output would be a well-designed report that is usable, and then a usable report that is what? Well designed. I mean, it's a win-win. By now you should know that you should already know that aesthetics in dashboard design doesn't necessarily translate to maybe rounded corners or shadows or animations or other decorative stuff, but it should be how well visual elements are used in the dashboard, right? So yeah, 100% attention to the UI and 100% attention to the UX of the dashboard should be the goal, because at the end of the day, it is not about the user. It is not you. You are not building for yourself. You are building for the user. So you should actually consider how the user will feel, when they are using your report. And that is why we are going to talk about usability. And when talking about usability, one of the basic principles to implement is consistency. Like, in order to prevent your users from maybe getting confused or maybe frustrated when using your reports, I mean, you should by all means make sure that your report has a predictable layout. Not only maybe predictable layout, I mean, when I say predictable layout, by placing visual elements in the same location across like different pages. For example, I think I have something here. So this is a report. This is just a mock-up design. So looking at this, the first thing you see here is the sales overview, which is the title, right? And then there's a nav bar above, and then we have the date filters here. Okay, now this report, I mean, I love the layout. Everything is, nothing is hidden. Everything can be well seen. Looking at everything is placed properly. Okay, then, but let's go to page 2 and see what's happening. Remember, in page 1, we have our nav bar at the top, should I say right now, or not right now, left, or almost middle of the report, and then the title is by the top left side of the report, right? Okay, now coming to page 2, it has changed. I'm seeing the date filter by the top left, and then I'm looking for my nav bar, yet I am yet to see it. Oh, look at where the nav bar is. It has come to the right part of the report. Now, someone looking at this might not immediately get where the new position or the new location of your nav bar has gone to. You are the one that built the report. I mean, you know where you've placed certain things. It is easy for you to locate whenever you open the report. But what about your user? Like, what about your audience? They were not there when you built the report. They have no idea about the things that are in your reports. They have no idea about how many charts you have or what colors you used or whatsoever. They are opening the report for the first time, and their expectations are everything is going to go well, just maybe before they've used a previous report and everything was perfect. So they're also coming to use your report and they're expecting that everything will be well placed and organized. But now they opened the first page and they were like, oh yeah, this report is looking good. I can actually locate whatever I want at any given point in time. But then they get to page 2. What happened? Okay, look at our color is showing green. Why? I mean, this is the same category for the first page we had here. The difference is that this category is talking about sales, while this other one is talking about profits. So I am still supposed to be seeing a blue color to be used for this same category, but I'm seeing green. So what is happening? I mean, if I were to be the user, I'll be a little bit confused the first instance I'm seeing this. It will like take me a little bit of time for me to get to understand what your message is saying. But then the purpose of usability or considering usability is to prevent your user from even considering or moving helter-skelter within your report, trying to locate your visual elements or trying to understand what this category stands for or what that category stands for. That is not the purpose of usability here. So if you want your users not to be confused at any time, if you want them to have that satisfaction, if you want them to have that maximum output whenever they are using your report, you should make sure that there is consistency in the use of color, that your visual elements are placed at the same position. If you put your filters on the top right corner of your first page, please do well to put those filters in the second page at the top right corner. Likewise, your your navigation bar. If you want to choose the left part of your report to be for your navigation bar, you don't go to page 2 and go and put it underneath the report or by the right part. That is confusion. You are causing confusion for your users, and that alone can distract them from your message. They might actually abandon the data they are trying to explore and start looking for visual elements, which is not what we want to do. So like I was saying, the same goes for color. If you are using a certain shade of blue, like this designer used blue for this category on the first page, please make sure you use that same shade of blue for the second page or any other page that is contained in your report. So we can see that um, placing elements, when I mean elements, color, font size. Yeah, speaking of font size, in our page 1, I think the chart title are a little bit pronounced compared to page 2. Looking at page 2, I think I'd have to screen my eyes a little for me to be able to read this. This is also inconsistency in chart titles, in the use of fonts. So the use of font color, whether it is font color, whether it is font size, whether it is the placement of your visual elements, or whether it is even chart color, please make sure you are consistent whenever you are creating your report. Okay, so the next usability feature to look at is report performance. Now, this is one of the main area that is very important and sometimes, should I say 50% of the times, always ignored. Now, when a user opens a report, you don't know they expect to like load the report quickly, and they want that report to like respond instantly. Maybe when they like click maybe like a slicer or a filter, you know, just the same way you would expect like a web page to load quickly when you are browsing online. And you see sometimes when it seems as though it's taking forever to load, as human beings, we might get pissed off, or we might just, you know, abandon that task and try to attend to other pages that are opening immediately before coming back, you know, to that particular page. So just imagine now if your dashboard takes forever to open or update. You know, your users might get frustrated and ignore it. No matter how good looking the visuals are, no matter how good looking your report is, no matter how good looking they are, they might just abandon it. Imagine you are trying to open a report and it's taking up to 30 minutes, you know, for someone to access that report. If I were to be the one, I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it immediately and try to do something else. And maybe I'll say, I'll come back to it later, and then I might forget. You know, so that's why optimizing for performance is very, very important. You know, and one simple way to improve performance is by reducing the number of visuals you allocate to a page, especially when you are working with like a large data set. You know, because every visual sends its own query to the data model. And of course, too many simultaneous queries, especially when you are changing filters or when you are moving from one page to another, can significantly slow down your loading times of those visuals. So I am very sure there is no stated rule anywhere that says you must have only one page in your report or you must have only 2 pages. Therefore, please jam pass all the visuals in this world onto that page. There is no stated rule. that says put everything in one page. So whenever you are building a report, you are the builder. You might be comfortable, relaxed while you are opening it because you know you have added so many visuals on one page. But what about your users? These people work with time. These people don't have time to be waiting for hours or for minutes for a report to open before they can access it. Now, when it finally opens, for them to even be able to click on a filter, it will take another like 10 to 15 minutes for the filter to display the visual. Man, that's definitely will be frustrating, and you do not want that. You can actually, if you have to be a freelancer and you are designing a report for somebody and it is that large, tomorrow they will not come to you. They'll run away from you because like, the report this person did for me the other day, I couldn't even access it. It's a waste of money, or it's a waste of my time. So it is very important that you think about performance of the report. It's not all about beautifying the report. It's not all about making sure your texts are well aligned or your charts are well aligned. It's not all about that. How about the performance? Can someone actually open this report and it will open within 2 minutes for them to access the information they want and then close it also within 2 minutes and go their way? That is a question you should ask yourself when you are building. Can my user actually make use of this thing effectively, efficiently, and then get satisfaction from it? So these are things you should consider. And one of the beautiful way I've always used to reduce clutter, especially when it comes to Power BI reports, is parameter function. Parameter function is one interesting feature in Power BI that allows users to toggle between maybe like different dimensions within a single visual. So instead of you showing maybe multiple charts side by side, you can actually choose what you want to show at a given point, what you want to see at a given point in time. Let me go. I think I have an example here. I know this one. Microsoft Power BI. Yeah, so this is a simple report where parameter function was incorporated to help reduce clutter. Now we are looking at this. I don't know if you guys can see this clearly, or should I try to increase the size? Let me see. I look this. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I think I can see this now. So looking at this is an interesting one. This is employee status. This is a single chart you are seeing, but then parameter function has been incorporated into this. I am able to select what I want to see at a given point in time. I can see the information for gender if I want. I can see the information for status if I want. Now this is showing me two different information, but I have used just a single chart to plot this particular visual you are seeing here. So I am able to choose what I want to see without having to stress myself. Now, this approach already has added to the clean layout of this report. I mean, looking at this report, you are not searching for anything. This report has a very clean layout. You are able to see what you want to see. You are able to locate whatever you want to locate at a given point in time, right? So thinking about it, if they had decided to maybe like create this chart side by side, now this is giving me two information. This also is giving me two information. This also is giving me three informations. So if I were to create all this side by side, that would be like an additional 4 visuals to be added to this particular page. So if I am to add 4 to this, it will certainly become 7, and then adding this 4 also, man, the number has skyrocketed. And then if I'm to open this chart, this report, it might take more than the expected time if I had left it this way. Now, not only has parameter function added to the clean layout that you are seeing, it has also helped to reduce the loading time of the report, and also it has also helped to reduce clutter, because as we all know, Power BI is not calculating this as double charts. It is rendering it as just a single chart. So you see, parameter function is very, very important. It's a very nice way to, whether you are managing limited space, or you are trying to improve the report experience. I mean, parameter functions are a smart way to minimize visual overload without like maybe sacrificing analytical depth. When I say analytical depth, in a situation you are like saying, oh, I don't want to jam pack my report with so many visuals, so maybe I should just throw away this information. Let me just choose between two, which one will be better, and throw away the other one. No, you are not throwing anything away. You are adding everything onto your report, but in such a way that it is easy for the user and it is also easy on the eyes. You know, it reduces the clutter. There is charts are not flying everywhere as one would expect that we should have maybe like 10 to 11 charts on a single page. So yeah, whenever you are trying to reduce the load of your reports, your Power BI report, or you are trying to create a very like nice layout or reduce clutter, I think you should consider using parameter function. So another way to improve performance is to load only the data you need. When I say load only the data you need, I mean when you are working with import storage mode. You know, this means removing unnecessary columns and rows that do not like maybe add to your current analysis. And that's why data cleaning is very important. I mean, some persons, they don't care about data cleaning. You know, theirs is just to visualize, it's just to create charts and keep creating charts. They don't care about performance. They don't care about the data that they are loading. Is this column important for this analysis? Is this column not important for this analysis? Are these rows important for this particular analysis I'm trying to carry out? Some people don't care about that. You know, they just load everything into Power BI and then they start analyzing. But in a situation whereby you are working with import storage mode, like I said, and you think that, of course, we all know it is better for you to remove unnecessary columns or rows or whatever from your data source. It will even be better if you do all the data cleaning from your data source before loading into Power BI, okay? But if you think that some data might be useful in the future, you know, there are ways you can actually still keep them in your model without also keeping your model clean. Of course, your model will be the model size will be reduced, but then you will still not lose important information in Power BI. For example, if you are creating a report for, let's say, a sales report, you know, for a particular region, let me use our 36 states of Nigeria. You are creating a report, and the report is a sales report that contains sales for the 36 states in this country. And then your boss says, I only want to see information for probably, let's say, Lagos only. Now, but then your data table includes records for all the 36 states. Loading all those data might be a waste of space for your current analysis. Remember, I said current analysis, okay? But then instead, in Power Query, you could actually apply like a parameter filter to load only the data for Lagos, you know, for this particular analysis before finally loading into Power BI. Now, this will reduce the data size, and also it will also make everything faster for you. And then if by tomorrow your boss comes and says, Adiola, I want to now see records for all the states, you can actually go back to Power Query and then filter back or remove filter and everything will show. So let's go to Power Query and just do an illustration. Now this data, I've already loaded it into Power BI, which is not supposed to. It's just because of time I loaded the data. So, but in the case where you are trying to load your data for the first time, before loading, you have to transform, do the necessary transformation in Power Query before loading into Power BI. And then it is during the transformation stage, you can actually filter to that particular location that your analysis wants to be centered on at that given point in time. It might not be location, it might be for product, it might be for category, it might be for year, it might be for anything, you know. So because you do not want to delete those rows, you do not want to delete those columns because your boss has told you maybe in the next 2 months I want to see the information for everything. So the next best thing to do is for you to create like a parameter function that will help to filter the data to the particular states your boss wants to see. Okay, this data set is not for Lagos, like I gave an example. This is a data set that belongs to Adventure World. I got this from Power BI. So the next thing to do, so you might not be seeing Lagos, you might be seeing something like America or USA or so and so. So the next thing to do is to click on manage parameters. Now we are trying to filter these data sets. Instead of loading everything into Power BI, we are trying to filter it
Hi,
into,
sorry, Stella. So sorry to cut you. So I think you are
okay.
sharing just your browser window. We are not seeing your
Are you,
entire screen.
are you serious? I'm sorry. Okay. Um, let me see what is happening. So am I supposed to select all this? Can you see Power BI screen now?
It's still coming up on my end.
I tried sharing like my window. Anyway, I'm not used to Teams. I'm used to Google Meet. I know when I click on share window, all my screen is supposed to show whatever window I'm working on. So
Okay.
here, this is Google Teams. This is Teams. I clicked on share screen and I was expecting everything to display. So share window rather.
No, okay. To share your entire screen, you have to click on share screen, not
Oh,
the window.
okay. Okay. So how about now?
Yeah, we can see everything now.
Oh, I'm so sorry for that
Yeah, thank you very
mistake.
much.
Okay, so yeah, so let's go to manage parameters, and then you click on manage parameters. So we want to create a new parameter for our location. We could actually give this maybe country filter. You can add any description you want to add here for future purposes. Maybe someone else wants to use your reports. At least if they click on this, they should be able to know what this parameter is actually doing here. So I'm just going to skip that for the sake of this, but I'm just saying. So for the type, we'll make it text, and suggested value, we'll make it list of values because we have list of values who want to add here. I think I saved the list of values somewhere. Country text. Okay, let me just copy it. So what we are going to do here, I'm just going to copy the list of the country available in this data set and paste here. So we have our list of values from which we can actually come back and select whatever value we want to see at a given point in time. So for the sake of this, let's select United Kingdom. So we want to filter our data set to United Kingdom because our bot has asked us to do analysis only for United Kingdom, right? So we are going to come here and make our default value United Kingdom. And also come down here, our current value should be United Kingdom. Then you click OK. And that's that. So we have to go back to the table to which we have just added the parameter function, and we'll go to that particular column, which is country. So click on this and go to text filters, then select equals, and then it will take us to a prompt that would show, okay, my Power BI desktop is native. So when we come here, then you select that parameter we created, which is parameter is going to show us the country filter. And then the moment you click on OK, it's going to filter this data set to show only data for United Kingdom. Now you are seeing null values here because these don't have, probably there's no data for United Kingdom. So that's why you're seeing null values here. Like I said, this is not a real data set anyway. So now our data set has been filtered to show data for only United Kingdom. Now, like I said, then you can come here and click apply and go to and then you finally load into Power BI. You can come here, click close and apply, and it will load just only this data set, this data for United Kingdom. Like I said, if by tomorrow your boss says, I don't want to see data set for only United Kingdom, I want to see data set for everything, you can actually come here and remove filter. You can clear the filter, click on clear filter, and everything will be cleared. Then you are seeing the whole information, the whole data for everything. Then if by tomorrow he says, remember we have already created our parameter function, it is now with us. If by tomorrow he says, okay, fine, I want to see data for Canada, you can come here and click on edit parameters, that parameter we created, right? No, sorry, manage parameter. You can come back here, click on manage parameter, and then he says Canada, right? So we select Canada and give him Canada. He wants to see information for Canada, fine. We select Canada, come back to this, and then select Canada, and then load our data again. And then it's going to show us information for only Canada. We'll come back here and go to that particular column. Remember we removed the slicer the first time, the filter, so we'll have to go back and click on equals to and select the parameter function we created again for it to show us data set for Canada. So it's going to show us data for Canada. Okay, fine. Canada has information. It has all the information for all the columns. So we can actually load this. And then when we finally load into Power BI, it is not loading data for every of the region or the country. It is loading only data for Canada. Now, it has reduced our model size. It might not be much, but at least we have been able to tone the size a little bit. So this is another way to improve performance. Now just imagine you are working with a very large data set, and maybe the company you are working for, they do not have database at that moment. So it means you have to import everything into Power BI. So that way you can actually like maybe filter the data to the particular information you are trying to analyze for that dashboard at a given time. Okay, so that's that about creating and filtering your data set in Power Query. So there is also a third way to improve performance is to simplify your DAX calculations. This is what I always tell my students. You know, with the help of ChatGPT, we are able to create we are able to create DAX measures anyhow we want. Like you just go to ChatGPT, you give it a prompt, and ChatGPT will just give you the measure. I always say when you are using ChatGPT to create a measure, please try as much as possible to make sure that measure, that DAX measure is as simplified as possible. Okay, so because too many complicated DAX measures can also slow down response time. Because since it takes more time to calculate every time you are trying to like interact with a visual, you know, Power BI do calculate that particular visual, right? Now, so simplifying doesn't mean writing shorter ones. So, for example, when I say simplify your data, your DAX measure, it doesn't mean you should write okay, yeah, this is a DAX formula. It doesn't mean you should write a short DAX formula. For example, comparing this to this thing, you see the version 1 is very short. It is shorter, right? But version 2 is a little bit longer. But if I'm to choose between version 1 and 2, I'll go for version 2. Yeah, I'll go for version 2. So we want to calculate profit margin. Version 1 is giving us exactly the same thing for profit margin. This will work fine, though. If you want to use version 1, it will work fine properly. But do you know that it can take more calculation time when compared to this version 2? Because looking at version 1, you are seeing Power BI is definitely going to calculate revenue twice. You are seeing revenues appearing twice. So Power BI will definitely calculate total revenue twice for this particular measure, which might take time. But looking at this one, we have added total revenue into a variable function. Now, this variable function is just going to calculate total revenue and store it for us. Now, when it comes to this other part of the calculation, we are referencing the revenue that has been stored into or inside this variable. So now Power BI is not calculating revenue twice again, it's calculating it only once, because it has been calculated once and we are just referencing it. So we can reference it multiple times. It is still going to calculate it just once. Now, looking at 1 and 2, like I said, it will calculate this twice. 1 is shorter, but 2 is a little bit longer, but it is faster. Plus, it is even more understandable. I mean, I can look at version 2 and I can tell what is actually going on here. I can see that variable revenue is calculating sum of revenue and so on and so forth. And it is also easy to compute. when compared to version 1. So yeah, optimizing your DAX measures is also important. When you are copying DAX measures from ChatGPT, please make sure whenever ChatGPT creates a measure for you, you are still able to take time to look at it and remove what is not supposed to be there. Especially when you are using too many complicated filter context. You are putting the if function, you are putting the calculate in everything. For example, even this our first this first measure, there are some formulas you add ChatGPT to write for you. ChatGPT will also add calculate before sum. Now that is waste of space. Sum is already doing the function of summing all the rows in this revenue column for us. So why add calculate to it again? So it's very important when you're using GPT to write measures, please make sure those measures are as simple as possible to help reduce the render time when you are um, interacting with a particular visual which the measure was incorporated into. Also, one important thing I would like to say, please try as much as possible not to write DAX for every single thing in your report. Try as much as possible not to write what? DAX measures. Even if we know that DAX measures don't consume too much memory space, right? It would also be good not to write one when there is actually maybe an alternative way to achieve what you want. For instance, if you are trying to, looking at this now, let me increase the size of this to page actual size. So looking at this first chart, you notice that the maximum value here and the maximum bar were highlighted. Okay, now, so we want to do that for this. Now, the first thing that will come to your mind is to, oh yeah, let me create a measure that will calculate the maximum, the maximum bar and then the maximum value for this particular visual. But instead of creating a measure for this, you could actually use the conditional formatting options with rules. So we can click on this and go to the column. This is a column chart. So we go to column, and then come to color. We click on this conditional formatting button. When it takes us here, normally if we click on field value, it means we've created like a measure to add to this to give us the necessary output we want. But instead of creating a DAX measure, like I said, we could actually use the rule option. Now this is simply saying, please give us the maximum value, or give us, check the maximum, the month with the maximum value, and then color it this way, and then give the other ones a different color. So it's simply saying if percentage is equal to 0. Now this stands for the minimum values, those ones that are below the maximum value. Okay, so we could say if it is less than 100%, this should be percent. Then let's make it, let's make them something like red, okay? And then you click on new rules and say, if the value, now we are looking for the maximum value, if it is equal to 100%, which signifies the maximum, 100, then make it, let's make it blue. And then you click on OK. Oh, something is wrong. Oh yeah, we've not specified our what we are looking for here, the value we want to base this on. So we are looking at number of cancer patients. Then we can actually click OK, and you notice it will format our charts to that exact output we are looking for. Without writing DAX measure, at least even if it's just 0.00 MB, we have saved that particular 0.00 MB from being added to our report space. Do you get? Not only can this be done for the bar itself, we can actually do this for the data labels, right? We could actually go to data labels and do exactly the same thing we did for the column. Just go to the value and then go to the color, click on conditional format. We could actually do the same thing, select rules, and then make this, add another rule, make this percent, make this 100, the maximum should be 100. Then add another row and say if this is equal to 100%, then give us blue. And the other ones should be in the background. So you see, we've also highlighted the data label. So this is one simple way to also optimize our report. Now, like I said before, DAX measures do not contain much space, memory space, but it is always good for you to think of ways to prevent you from always creating and creating DAX measures for everything. And this is a very good way to do that. So in summary, no, not in summary, I think there's another one thing, again, I said I was going to mention here, which is edit interaction. I don't know, I keep on hammering on edit interaction, edit interaction. So a few days ago, I was, looking at someone's report they sent to me for feedback. And then I decided, I don't know, something was like, okay, let me interact with this report. And then the moment I clicked on a particular chart, everything disappeared. I was like, okay, wow, I'm going to say this today. Because sometimes we always, even myself, sometimes, because I'm rushing to do something, I might forget to make the settings for that edit interaction. And like I'll always say, your users were not there when you were creating the reports. So they might not know what's happening. And most of them are not like Power BI or tech savvy for them to say, okay, if I mistakenly click on a particular column here, it will filter this chart. So let me click on this column. Yeah, you see what happened now. I clicked on this particular bar and this chart has been filtered. And I'm seeing value for only November. Now, I am the one that made this report. I can actually, easily understand what is going on here. But then what about my user? They were not there when I created this thing. If they're interacting with this report online and something like this happened, you are seeing this is happening to under this chart because I have done the settings for this report. So just imagine if I had not done something like this and I click this and every visual element on this thing disappears and it's showing me just a single bar like this. That confusion will just come in with setting immediately for the user. They'll be like, what's happening? I mean, they don't have idea about, not everybody, not all your users might know what edit interaction is at that moment. They might start thinking, okay, what have I done? What have I not done? What did this person do to this report that is making this report to be like this? That is another usability function you also have to consider. How comfortable is your user when he or she is using your report? If I do this, this is going to throw them off the chair. If everything were to disappear. So when you finish creating your report, when you finish building your report, before you hit on that publish button, please do yourself a favor and your users the favor of going to make sure you select each and every single visual on your page and click on format and go to edit interaction, please. If you want any charts to filter or to highlight the order, make that settings. For instance, if I have clicked on this visual, this is the one that is filtering this one. I do not want it to filter it because the moment it filters, it is giving me only the information for that particular month I have selected for it to filter. Now, if I do not want it to filter, I might say, okay, do not filter, but highlight it for me. Now, it is highlighting only this. This is November that I selected. These other ones have gone to the background, right? If I unselect this, I say don't highlight it again for me, don't filter it or don't highlight it. They will all come back to their normal color. Okay, it has come back, they've all come back to their normal color now. Now, it is no longer disappearing, but because I have clicked on highlight, do not filter. But in a situation whereby I do not want it to even highlight, I do not want it to filter anything, now I am highlighting. I can come here and click on none, do not filter and do not highlight. So whenever someone mistakenly clicks on any bar here or clicks on any element, any visual element whatsoever, it will remain the same. Okay, see, this one has disappeared because I did not put off edit interaction for this, neither did I put off edit interaction for this. You see, nothing is showing here again because I've selected a particular what's it called, month in this chart. right? So you see it has disappeared. Now, if I had filtered this chart, if I had put to none, it will not filter it. All the values will show. Let me select it again. So let's see. If I say do not filter, show the values, and everything is now shown. So by the time I click any bar here, if I like, I should click everything, my value must show. So when you are done setting edit interaction for all your visual elements, then you go back and click on it to put it off. The best way to achieve this, if you know you are going to have like up to 7 or 10 charts on your report, as you are building the chart, make sure you are setting the edit interaction so that it will prevent overload for you. Maybe if you finish at the end of the time you are finished building the report, you say, oh, I want to do edit interaction. The moment you click on it, you see there are so many elements here. You will not even know where to start from at that point in time again. You become confused. So I think it is better, see so many things here. It is better as you are building, if you build like up to 3 to 2, then you click on edit interaction and make the settings for those charts before you continue. That's the only way you can make the work easy for yourself. So yeah, I think in summary, I would say optimizing Power BI performance means using fewer charts, using more impactful visual. It's not only even optimizing now, I mean usability. When it comes to usability, do not jam-pack visuals on a page like I have said before. Do not put unnecessary information, unnecessary visuals, because Mr. B has done calculation, he has done a new chart, or he invented a new chart. You say you want to use it, you don't even know what that chart does. You don't even know the tricks, how many visuals he has added to be able to achieve that you want to do. At the end of the day, you end up doing. Now, you are not complicating things for yourself. You are complicating things for the user, the end user that will use that thing. Try as much as possible to use simple, important visuals that you know that the moment your audience looks at your report, they know what this is talking about. They know what they know the information the visual is trying to pass across at that point in time. Like I also said, try as much as possible to load only essential data when you are working in import mode, and write clean and efficient DAX measures. And then finally, knowing when to use built-in features is very important. Instead of writing DAX measures for every single thing that comes to that report, you want to write DAX measures. Know when to use built-in features. So yeah, thank you very much. I think that is all I have for this topic for today. Thank you for listening, and yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Stella. Thank you very much. Kindly a round of applause for Stella, everyone. This is super packed. I actually learned a lot, and also from what Steny Lulu has shared with us. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for listening, and thank you for sharing these insights. So yeah, over to the questions. If you have any questions you've actually prepared for our speakers, you can go ahead and ask. Just raise up your hand, then unmute your mic if you have any question. All right. So while you are still preparing your question, I actually have a question for the speakers. Any of them can actually answer. Right. So it's very important to um, optimize query performance and also improve visual quality, right? That's when it comes to aesthetics. Now, how do you make sure as you are using aesthetics, as you are improving aesthetics in your design, in your dashboard, right? How do you make sure these elements you are adding to your dashboard, how do you make sure they don't slow your query performance, right? You are increasing usability. How won't one affect the other? You are adding parameters. As you're adding parameters, you're adding other functions also. It's not going to affect your query performance. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
James, thank you for that question. Like I said before, so adding features, parameter functions, bookmarks, or all these advanced features I said that is not that doesn't translate to design aesthetics. So you as a designer, as a dashboard designer, you should know when to stop. You should know when to stop. Adding too many features, of course, can actually slow down report performance. Adding too many features can also cause cognitive overload to your users. I mean, just imagine I have a dashboard with up to 10 slicers, 10 filters. If I click on a page, there is a filter. If I go down that page, there is a filter. Man, if I were to be the user, I myself, I will get tired. And then you should know the kind of features you are adding to your reports. You know, having too many bookmarks can actually slow down your reports. Why add too many bookmarks when you know they can slow down reports? Why add too many filters? Why add too many sliders when you know that these things can actually impact performance? So at the end of the day, we are still saying the same thing. Know when to stop. Make sure everything is at the right time and is at the right count or number. Like I said, too many visuals on one page can slow down report. Not only visuals, too many sliders, too many bookmarks. You see a report that has up to 100. I saw somebody on LinkedIn said he used 100 and something bookmarks to achieve a particular report. What are the the functions? It's just when he clicks on a report, when he clicks on a visual, it takes it to another visual. When he clicks on this one, that is just the fun of it. Yeah, looking at it, it is aesthetically pleasing, but can they use it? Can someone actually use that? I am pretty sure when someone wants to open that report, it will take minutes for that report to open. Not only will it take minutes, it will take another amount of time for each of the visuals to calculate each runtime. Like I said before, if you are trying to interact with any visual element in Power BI, you know Power BI calculates the measures before that visual is rendered. So you should know when to stop. You should know when to start, where to stop, and you should know your limits. You know, so that is why it is good to balance everything. Everything should be balanced. I say 100% attention to usability, which is to usability, and also 100% attention to design. Your features that you are adding to your report should have, you know, you should have a certain purpose before adding them. Don't add because you want to add. Don't add because they are valuable. What are they doing there? Are you adding them for adding sake? Do they perform any particular function for you there? And yes, if they are performing any particular function, must you add up to 10 for them to perform that function? You know, I make mention of parameter function, right? So instead of using bookmark, now you are using bookmark to switch between charts. You know, bookmark definitely will calculate those visuals as single visuals, but then you're using parameter function. Parameter function sees them as a single visual. At the end of the day, parameter function beats bookmark. So yeah, you should know the choice of visual elements you are adding to your report at a given point in time. I think that's what I would say about that question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stella, for that. Is Tenny Lulu is still on this call. I would love to hear from you also.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tenny.
Okay, I think Stella has basically said it all at this point. I think just know if it's important and you need to add it to your visual, then add it. If it's not important and you just want to add it for the aesthetic of it, then think about it as another alternative way to do it and think about how to make that alternative way look good. If you need to have multiple bookmarks because you want to switch between a couple of categories, think about how to show that using parameter. Now, not everybody likes the way the filter looks like, but thankfully Power BI has introduced 3 other different types of filters, so you can design your filter to look nicer but still use parameter, yeah. So I guess it just depends on importance of whether it's needed or not. But Stella has basically said it all.
Yeah, thank you very much for that addition, Tenny. And yeah, if there's anyone that has any other question for our guests, you can put them in the chat box or you can raise up your hand and unmute your mic and speak. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear the questions. And if there's something you'd like to contribute also, you can also ask. Okay, yeah. Just going through the chat box, I can see some questions for our speakers. Yeah. All right. So the first question is directed to Tenny, and it says, "Can you take us briefly through how you implemented the parameter use for the category switch between product and segments?" Hi, Tenny. I don't know if you can do that
Yeah,
on
I
this
can
call.
hear you. Okay, so sorry, I switched to my phone because I just stepped out. But that was basically show and I using bookmarks, but you can also use a parameter to do that as well. But I used bookmark for that.
All right.
It's basically a toggle button using bookmark, but you can also do that with the new Power BI slicer using parameter as well.
All right, all right. Thank you very much. I hope Joseph, Adiola Joseph took note of that. All right. Okay, so the next question is, what are those parameter functions we use? What I really do not understand this question. I don't know if our speakers understand the question. So I think it was Stella that actually took us through parameters. So Stella, I don't know if you can attend to this.
I would love for that person to really try to explain the question so I can actually understand. Because what do you mean by those parameter functions we use? I really don't understand that.
Yeah, it
Um.
just left the call.
Oh.
So yeah, moving on, the next question is, okay, still by the same person, how to create a product category between product and segments. All right. And okay, yeah, you said that is clear now. So I think that you already answered this question. So that will be all for the questions. I assume there are no questions from anybody else on this call. So yeah, thank you very much to Tenny, Lulua, and Stella for walking us through this wonderful session. I must confess, it was really inspiring. It was really inspiring, actually. Thank you very much once again. And let me also introduce Abuja Power BI User Group. This is what we do in Abuja Power BI User Group. We have our monthly meetups and occasional Twitter spaces and conversations around Power BI and around data analytics generally. Starting a career in data analytics and also thriving on your role as a data analyst. That is what we do. And also you can network with like-minded people and propel your career forward. That is what Abuja Power BI User Group is all about. And yeah, something is also very important that we need to keep steering forward the affairs of this community. We're actually opening a volunteer application. So if you would love to contribute to what we are doing here, if you would love to share your knowledge and expertise with us, and also contribute to volunteering in any capacity, we'll be sharing a volunteer application form with the public. So you can just follow us on Twitter at Abuja PUG, Abuja Power BI User Group, and also on LinkedIn, Abuja Power BI User Group, where you can stay abreast of information that we are sharing with our community. All right, there you can also get links to join our WhatsApp community where bulk of the conversations normally occurs. All right, so everyone, thank you very much. Is Gabriel here? Okay, yeah, Gabriel is here. Gabriel, we just need you to give us your closing remark as the community boss.
I beg you, send a community boss. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can manage your voice.
Okay, okay. So, Sid is actually on the call. So I wonder why you are trying to put me on the spot. But then, Penny, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Stella, thank you so much for gracing the occasion. Me, I will still go back and watch the video. I know we are recording. I'll still go back and watch the video and get a lot of insight for myself. It's been enlightening. It's been good. Thank you so much. That's all I can say. And for everyone that made it to the call, thank you and thank you everyone. So James, you can actually proceed. Thank you. That will
All
be
right.
all from me.
Thank you very much for that, Gabriel. So yeah, this is where we draw the curtain and call it a day. Thank you for coming once again, and do also have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Bye, everyone.
Bye, James. Thank you for having me.